Hi friends, and welcome to this mindful moment for the Missing Piece community. My name is Reverend Zac Morton, and I come to you from the hills of Morgantown, West Virginia. And you can probably see that I am standing not in the hills right now, but in a pretty low spot. And you can't tell through the video, but it smells here. The mud smells because we're right on the edge of a wetland, and you probably can't tell too well, but if I move too much I'm gonna sink because I'm standing on top of the mud. And I thought the mud might actually be a good prompt for our mindful moment today, to think about what mud has to offer us when we think of it from a different perspective. And I want to read to you from a book by a Buddhist monk named Thich Nhat Hanh, and the book is entitled No Mud, No Lotus. So as we slow down and take a few breaths in this mindful moment, may you be led and inspired by these words from Thich Nhat Hanh. Both suffering and happiness are of an organic nature, which means that they're transitory. They're always changing. The flower, when it wilts, becomes compost, and the compost can help grow a flower again. Happiness is also organic and impermanent by nature. It can become suffering, and suffering can produce happiness again. He writes that in each of our Plum Village practice centers around the world, those are the monastery centers, we have a lotus pond. Everyone knows we need to have mud for lotuses to grow. The mud doesn't smell so good, but the lotus flower smells very good. If you don't have mud, the lotus can't come to be. You can't grow lotus flowers on marble. Without mud, there can be no lotus. It is possible, of course, to get stuck in the mud of life, and easy to notice the mud all over you at times. The hardest thing to practice is not allowing yourself to be overwhelmed by despair. When you're overwhelmed by despair, all you see is suffering everywhere you look. But we must remember that suffering is a kind of mud that we need in order to generate joy and happiness. Without suffering, there's no happiness. So don't discriminate against the mud. We have to learn how to embrace and cradle our own suffering and the suffering of the world with a lot of tenderness. So friends, as you take a few moments to breathe, may the image of the mud of life stay with you, and may we find ways to appreciate the mud and find happiness